Welcome to the Strategic Project Leader, where we help you leverage strategic project management so you can achieve your goals. Now, here's your host, Bola Alabi.
Good morning and welcome to the Strategic Project Leader podcast. It's such an exciting day to come into your homes where we dive into all things strategy, projects, leadership. And today is really exciting because we're going to be talking about a topic that is nice and dear to my heart when we think about organizational growth. We want to talk about change. And when I think about change, right, people feel that it's all about just, all the transformation comes in and you just walk away. But no, we want to be able to create something that lasts because projects actually bring about change. Can I get an amen in the comment? Let me know where you're joining us from. For those joining us on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, let me know in the comments where you're joining us from. What part of the world? I'm joining from the sunny city of Calgary, Alberta. Can you believe it's sunny today? And I've got an exceptional leader who's joining me today. You don't even want to miss this. We're going to be diving into key strategies that you need to be leveraging today for you to become not just another project professional, but one that is equipped to deal with change significantly. And if you're an executive, you are going to be better prepared as well to create an organization that is actually prepared for change. Let me talk a little bit about my leader, but just don't hold your breath for too long. He's one who has actually worked in so many transformations. He's passionate about change and development. He's a professor. He's a consultant. And above all, he's actually got this whole engineering thing. He did computer systems engineering, as well as a postdoctorate research at University of Quebec in Montreal. So right in the neck of the woods for me. But he's moved to a very, very nice place where he's by the ocean, like fancy and stuff. We're going to get into that. But today we have Professor Helio Castro. Could you please give him a round of applause as he joins us, please?
Yeah. I love this.
Awesome.
I will steal this from you in my show.
Okay, no problem. Okay, great to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. But before we really go any further, I always love to get a little bit of an icebreaker. Tell us some fun fact about Professor Helio, something that no one really knows about.
I'm going to tell you three things.
Okay.
And I want you to find out which one is true.
Okay.
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 Mm-hmm. Let's see. I don't know. I'm going to make something up, not right now, and you're going to define what's true about me.
So we just heard that. Let me just give the intro. So he's going to tell us three things. And in the comments, can you pick the one of them that's actually true? So two of them are going to be false. Thank you so much, Ebutzman, for joining us. Let us know where you're joining us from as well. Okay.
I'm going to make up something right now, okay?
Okay.
I am a former fighter pilot of the Air Force.
Okay. Former fighter pilot of the Air Force. Okay.
I'm a mountain climber.
Okay.
And I have 3 kids.
So which of them is true? Can we know in the comments? Let me know if anyone's actually engaging. Which of them is actually true? He just said, thank you for joining us.
I'm from Brazil. From Brazil, but I'm living in Portugal right now. People are saying that I'm from Toronto. No, not Toronto. I'm not going. I'm from Brazil, but I'm living in Portugal right now.
Okay, Professor Helio is joining us from Portugal. What's it like in Portugal this evening for you now? What's the weather like in Portugal?
It's not evening right now. It's 5 p.m. Right now, it's 5 p.m. Okay, a lot of times advanced with you. It's 5 p.m. It's good. The weather's good. We are in the winter. The winter here is rainy. Very rain. A lot of rain here. So just like January, we have rain for the whole month, every day. But just in the middle of February, it's going to change. Okay, it's going to change. You have mild 10 degrees in the winter, 5 degrees, 6 degrees. It's not like your winter, It's our winter.
I know.
When I lived in Montreal, I remember -40, -30. So it was,
That's right. Freezing cold, but we love it. It's okay. It's fine. So we have people joining us we've got Sao Paulo in Brazil in the house. We've got Toronto. I think we have Saudi Arabia as well. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for letting us come into your homes, your businesses, your lives on a wonderful Saturday morning or evening, wherever you are. We're going to be talking about how to drive sustainable change in a disruptive age. But before we get into that, Professor here just said, is he a former pilot?
I'm a mountain climber. And I have 3 kids.
3 kids. Which of them is actually true? I want to know. I think I can guess. But I want to give you guys a chance in the comments. If you join us on Instagram as well, let me know if you can actually tell where Professor. Maybe we should leave that before the end of the show, and then we're going to tell them what the actual true answer is. So we can get, there's so much to cover, but keep that thought for a moment, and we're going to get into that during the hot seat section as well. So when we think about change, how do we just wrap our heads around that? Because I always let people know that projects bring about change. We've got Angola in the house. Thank you so much for joining us from Angola. What's it called? And for us to create something sustainable, for organizations to truly thrive, we need to have some processes and systems in place so that we can ensure success. Professor Helio, what do you think about this?
I think any initiative, whatever, it doesn't matter if it's a project or a process, whatever, it's intended to create a change. There is something that you need now. Okay, now you have a situation right now and you want to change around the world. Okay, you want a future. And if you have an initiative, whatever is a project, program, portfolio, or a process that in place, you need a change. This is why something is necessary to be invented, to created, whatever. It's a product, a process. You need something to change. And this is why it's the purpose of any initiative. Okay? You're not satisfied with the context right now, or you need something right now according to this context, and you want to change something. It can be an organizational change. It can be a personal change. It can be a country change, a world change. It doesn't matter. There is someone, let's call them a stakeholder. Okay, let's call them a stakeholder. And this stakeholder is, or a client, you, your family, your country, whatever, is someone that needs something within a context. Okay? Within a context, they need something, and we have a solution for that. Because this diamond, let's call it diamond. We have a stakeholder or a client. We need something in a context, because depending on the context, your need can be different. Okay? And we have a solution for that. And when you have this diamond, we create value. And this value makes the change.
You just heard that. That's just a germ we need to just hold and sip that. The change we are trying to create has to create value.
That's right.
So it means that when we think
perceived by the person you are trying to create this value and promote the change. Because if you don't make them realize that the needs were not satisfied, you don't create value. And the change is not well accepted. You can't promote this change if you don't supply this need. I think everything starts from the needs, according to this context, and have a solution for that creates values. And these promotes the change. That's it. This is my idea. It makes sense for you.
Exactly. I think that's like a very, very easy way to think about this, because at the end of the day, as project professionals, as business leaders, we are all about creating something valuable for our clients. And for us to transform from a current state to a future state, there's a process that has to go in. But here we want to now dive into that. How can we ensure that the processes that we are following will create the value that the customer wants? That's kind of what the essence of today really is. And I know that you've worked on different models from Risk, and now I'm so excited about this FLEKS model. We want to dive into what is this about, and how can we adopt this to really create change that lasts?
Let's talk about Risk first.
Okay.
Let's talk about risk first, and then we'll talk about FLEKS. One of the most dangerous things I have been seeing in executives, strategists, and even project leaders is about the ignorance of risk concepts. Okay, starting by the definition of risk. Some people say that risk is always something negative, something that is cause any harm for you, but this is not true. Okay, so the concept of risk is misunderstood most of the time. Risk is just an uncertain event. It must have an uncertain event. And then we have something that calls an impact. But while you don't have this uncertainty and impact, this is not a risk. It's just an uncertain event. And when we can frame this uncertainty into something that we can measure, something that we can define the impact, and now we have a risk. So it's a difference between uncertainty and risk. You understand that? So when you're trying to do a project planning, organizational strategy, most of the time, not to say 100%, we follow the uncertainty. We have a lot of uncertainty. And we have to dive into these uncertainties, okay, and turn them into risks. Most of the people don't do that. They go straight for the risks if they go to the risks. And this is a problem because in my point of view, for any strategy or any project or any initiative, there is a framework that I always follow. I created this framework some years ago that I use to my consultings, my trainings, whatever. That's very easy to follow. I'm going to talk about right now because you asked something to follow, and I'm going to follow these steps right now. First, define your goals. Okay, define your goals. You have a goal. Whatever it's a company, your personal goal, your family, your department, your project, define a goal, okay? If you don't have a clear vision where you want to go, it's very hard to get there, okay? So try to define the goal. It doesn't matter if it's a short time or a long time, you have a goal, okay? It can be a small sprint or it can be a long strategy, long-term strategy. It doesn't matter. It's a goal. For the time that you're trying to manage something, there is a goal. Okay?
Yes.
Period. First. Second, define the plan with something that you have, okay? Define the plan. And the plan is defined by a collection of W's and H's, okay? What I have to do, when, who, what resources I'm going to use, whatever. Who, how much, how many, W's and H's. Define the W's and H's, the plan, that is necessary for you to get the goal. That's it. Make sense by now? Okay, so the goal, and then you have to find the W's and H's. These are the plans. Most of the people do this. Most of the project leaders do this. Most of the executives do this. And stop here. Okay? Why? Because based on this plan, they always add 10%, 15%, voila, 10%, 50, oh, 10% is enough. 15% is enough. And this is not risk management. This is faith. This is faith. This is faith. Because the only thing that you can do right now is to pray.
Hoping for the best, like hoping for a miracle.
Hoping for the best. Hoping that this 10% is enough. That's the prayer. Okay, 2 steps, goal and plans. And then we have the risks. When you don't analyze the risks and don't reframe your plans and your goals based on the risk responses, you have a problem. You see, every time you identify some risks, and then you have a risk response, inevitably, you're going to have to change your plans. You're going to have to change your schedule. You're going to have to change your costs, your resources, or even your goals.
Yes.
When you do this, and this small framework you can use for anything. It's a small trip, a strategy. Imagine you're trying to make it a strategy. You're a CEO of your company. Okay, I have a goal. For example, increase my market share in 10%. This is the goal. Okay, and then what's my plan to do this? Okay, I have a plan to do this. I create this product. I will buy this guy. I will do this. I will do that. This is a plan. Okay, and then what are the risks? Based on these risks, you have to define responses for the risks, positive or negative risks, opportunities or threats. And then you have to adapt. And this is the process. This adaptation of the plan or even the goals change everything. Change everything. It's just like the Rubik's Cube. You know that? That's it. Every time you change something, the other variables change together.
No, for sure. I think you hit the nail on the head, because the fact is that people just feel that having a plan and having the steps and that's it, right? But the fact is that the only constant thing in life is change that happens. And so there are different risks. Oh, it could be a resource thing that could, there could be a probability that a resource may not be available. There could be a risk of maybe the interest rates could go up. Be there's a technology, there's a probability that maybe the new AI functionality could actually show up and change everything. The key here is that being aware of what exactly is the probability of something happening and quantifying what the impact will actually be. So if a probability is actually high, as Helio said, then we know we have an actual plan step by step on how to actually mitigate that particular plan. And I love the fact that you mentioned positive and negative, because a lot of the times a risk may not always be negative. You could have a risk that you could leverage and exploit it, and it becomes positive as well. And so working with your team and having a plan on how you can manage and mitigate whatever risk is actually out there could turn out to become positive. That's a good one. Oh, thank you so much. I can see Uthman is already putting some comments in there. Get your questions coming, and we're going to be answering and putting Professor Helio on the hot seat very, very soon. So I love that 3-step framework. So for everyone who's actually watching, you already have something you can walk away with right away and say, I have a goal. So what am I going to do? I'm going to write the goals out. I'm going to understand. What I always add to that is, how can I win before you even create a plan? What's the differentiation mechanism to say, if it's a business goal, you want to become a millionaire by 2026, okay? If that's the goal,
I want to lose 10 pounds. I want to lose 10 pounds, for example. That's the goal.
Exactly. And
you have a plan to get there. But
yes,
there are many risks involved in this, uncertainty involved in this process. If it happens, if I go to a party like this, what are the responses for these uncertainties that prevent you to get there? And you adapt your plans.
That's right.
Work. It works for everything. Your strategy, your project, your process, your life. It doesn't matter. It's very small.
100%. And I think,
this is about risks.
Yes.
But you asked me something further. It's about change.
Change, exactly. How do we tie that to move the change? Yes.
Exactly. And there are some things that we have to think about change. One thing that I consider, that I see in organizations, my consulting and trainings like this, is that people think that change is a finite process. And it's not. And it's not. You think, I'm going to change this, for example, lose 10 pounds, okay? I'm going to lose 10 pounds. And then you lose 10 pounds, and then you gain again. You see that? So a change is not a finite process. Okay, it's an infinite process.
Yes.
This is a misconception. If you don't sustain the change, you're going to lose it. You won't work. And this is the problem. When you're trying to do a change and you understand that change is not a finite process, it's an infinite process, many things change. We have to plan in advance how I'm going to create this change, promote this change, and most of all, sustain the change.
That's right.
And for me, Fola, this is the hardest step.
I think it's the easiest, though. My approach, why I feel that way, is if you get it right from the beginning.
Did you already lose 3 pounds? How much effort to lose 10 pounds? How's the effort to keep it?
No. The thing is, like Simon Sinek always says, start with your why. I tell people, for instance, when we think about weight, I have been like this for at least the last 20 years. Yes, but it wasn't just because I didn't gain weight or I didn't, I didn't look different. I had to go back to revisit the why behind why I wanted to look the way I wanted to look. And because of that, that's what keeps me on the straight and narrow. And I'll give you this example, just a quick one, a little bit of a segue.
Discipline.
Interesting. Now, before we talk about discipline, I know we're talking about change, but I'll give you a short story. I remember when I was in I think in my third year university, I gained some couple of pounds. I'm like, what's going on, right? What's happening? And then I felt like my clothes were getting tight. I remember I called at the time a friend of hers, and I guess hope he's actually watching this particular podcast. I called Deji and I said, I'm gaining weight. I want to go rewire my teeth. I went to lock my jaws. I said, I don't want to eat anymore. And he was like, for crying out loud, Fola, why do you want to do that? Although you've added weight, you're fine. I'm like, no, I wanted to lose all the weight and all that. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do that for you. But anyway, I went up to the hospital. I paid a doctor and I got it done. In less than 24 hours, I got back home. My friends were home with me at home. And then they were all eating and enjoying, but I couldn't open my jaws. My jaws were locked. And then I asked myself, I said, Fola, what's going on? Is it just food I cannot say no to? What's the goal? Why am I trying to do this? Seriously, it was more like a conversation with myself. And I said, who is in control here? Is it the food or is it me? Why do I want, a particular physique? And so if I want to keep that, I need to have the mindset to say that no matter what it takes, I'm going to stay that way. If I have a bowl of rice today, I don't need to eat all of it. I can eat the rest of it tomorrow. It's still mine. And that was what I told myself in my head, because I said, the fact that you're eating a bigger portion doesn't mean you cannot eat that other portion tomorrow. That was a shit for me that made me sustain that. I remember calling him back to the house and saying, Deji, can you please help me unwire my teeth? He laughed so hard. My mouth was bleeding, everything. He helped me loosen it. I'm serious, Helio. And then he loosened it out for me. I was able to drink a little bit. But fast forward, like this is about at least 20 years later now. I remember talking to him about this some couple of months ago, and he laughed so hard. And I said, I have never put on the weight back anymore because I had to tell myself, I said, why? I am the one in control. So understanding the reason behind the change, and even for organizational change, when employees know why we're really doing it, what the benefits are, what's in it for me, what's in it for Helio, what's in it for everyone, it's easier for us to sustain the momentum. But if we feel that we're just doing this because we've been told to do it, then nothing changes.
Nothing changes. Nothing changes. So to sustain the change, people involved in the change must understand the purpose of this, and they must see the benefit of them, and they must be benefit also.
That's right. What is in it for them? Like, what value are they getting as well?
I'm doing this just because of he wants or she wants. No, what's the value for me?
Yes.
Because if you don't make this change and don't let them feel the benefit, the value on this change, they won't keep it.
Exactly. Exactly.
When you're trying to plan a change, you have to plan how you're going to get there and how you're going to sustain there, considering the people that are going to be sustained by this change. So, and this is this is the first step.
Yes.
Change is not finite; it's infinite. Okay,
yeah.
We have to take care of this infinite process. The second thing about change, in my point of view, this is going to make something bubbles in your brain, okay?
Okay.
Any transformational process, any change doesn't come from outside. It's an internal process.
Change is internal.
Internal. Transformation is external. Transmutation is internal. You understand that? If the organization is trying to change something, if the organization itself doesn't change by inside, it won't happen. Change is a door that you open inside. Nobody outside can open this door for you. Nobody. I can give you a key, but you have to open the door from inside. And this is different, very different. Because some organizations try to, I'm going to change my tool I'm going to change my process. I'm going to hire a consultant. It won't happen. It won't happen. If the organization, if the team, if the person, if you don't change from inside to outside, this transformation, it won't happen.
So that actually really strikes a very, very important point to see how organizational leaders are key to ensuring any change or transformation is actually successful.
Must start from inside.
Yeah. So that's why. So the executive, the teams, not just the people who are going to like underneath the organizational chain, the leaders at the top have to definitely lead the change so we can get that internal shift that is needed for change to be sustained.
That's it. Even the plan, even considering that the plan of this, the sustainable thing is a furthermore. But initially, you have to start by the culture, by the people, taking care of the people, and then you think about the tools, the process. It doesn't matter. You have to consider the change that you are going to change in the culture, in the people, how to engage them. Because if you don't have these keys, culture, people, things that you have inside, nobody can open the door for you. Remember that. Change is a door that you open from inside.
For sure. And I think that's so for executives and stuff who are probably listening or change leaders or project managers wondering, okay, so how can we then lead this? We know that change is one that's actually an internal work. And a lot of the times things happen that are beyond your control as just a professional. How can they start influencing at different levels to ensure that change definitely sticks?
I think that we must involve everyone. This is one step.
Yes.
We must involve everyone involved in this. And we have to create something that I call a value ecosystem. Think about this. What is a value? This is written in the FLEKS model. What's a value ecosystem? Something that sticks, as I told you before, everybody must be involved on that. Okay? Must have to recognize what's my role in this process? What's my responsibility? And who I am involved with. For example, because there are interconnections between things. When you try to model this ecosystem that will create this change, you have to involve. This is the change that I want to create, period. Put them in the center of your figure. And then who is involved on that? This, and that. These are the people that will contribute for this change. Okay? But it's not enough. You have also to understand what's the relationship between these stakeholders. Okay? And how we are going to manage this. Last year in the GPMF, remember in Saudi, I was there with you also there.
Yeah.
I was doing a speech that I talked something that I started my speech with a following sentence. Stop managing projects. And then people said, what? You're in a project conference. You are in a project management conference. And I say, stop managing projects. Because a change is a project, isn't it? A change is a project. Okay, it's a project I have to do. No, a change is not a project. A change is a process that never ends. Never ends. One step is a project. But stop managing projects. Start managing ecosystems. Because your project is not isolated in the world. You need something from suppliers, your clients, the environment, the government, the engineering department, the financial department, the human resource department. You need many people involved in your project.
That's right, because of the different interconnected layers, right? And that's why when you start seeing a project as a change, you think about it differently. It's not just like a temporary thing you're just going to just throw in there and walk away, but there are different ecosystems that's actually going to be touched, right? Just like a systems thinker. Whatever you build is going to impact people, it's going to impact operations, it's going to impact, the customers, the general public, and how are we connecting all the different layers to ensure that change is actually sustainable?
That's it. That's the problem. Think about the ecosystem, not on the project.
Yes.
You think only about the project that are going to create a product. You are disregarding everything around it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and sometimes it's much more difficult to manage this ecosystem than the project itself.
Oh, yes. And well, that's the shift that we all need to start thinking about. We need to start empowering, teams and project professionals, executive leaders as well, for them to start seeing that bigger picture. And that's why I talk about projects bring about change, and change needs to stick. And for it to be truly successful, we need to ensure that we're creating the outcome, the benefits right at the end of it. But for that to happen, there are different layers that come together. And that's why, we talk about not just, the value piece, but every stakeholder, as you used the word before, comes in. We build it from when we decide on what we're trying to do in the first place, from strategy design, right? We're part of it. We build it together. We plan, we execute, and we implement the change. And everyone is excited about what's there and what it is we're actually trying to create. Yes.
And remember, what's the benefit for me?
Oh,
Every
yes.
project ecosystem, what's going to the value that I'm going to deliver? Because I'm going to deliver something to create the value, okay, or to make the change. And how I'm going to be benefit from this?
Exactly.
How am I going to benefit from this? Because if you don't see that, okay, I'm just doing because I have to do. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And I think that's a major shift, that it seems so basic, as they say, the simple things are the hardest. That mindset shift where we just see that beyond just me delivering a project, it's actually an ecosystem of value. It is actually a change that has been kicked off, that has that domino effect. And so we have to understand the different connections. That way, we are now able to be set up more for success, and ensuring that we have a team who's communicating, ensure that everyone understands what is in it for me.
That's it. People are selfish. People want to do something. We like to work. We like to make money. We like to create some value. But what about me? Okay. Let's suppose, for example, that you are trying to create. You are the CEO of Apple, for example. Okay. You're trying to create the iPhone 18. Okay. This is a new product, isn't it? It's a new product. Who is involved on that? Engineering department, commercial department, design department, okay, suppliers, operations, selling, whatever. Who is involved in that? And what's the relationship between these things? Because if you don't have the connection, a value ecosystem, that are all the interconnections, and how these interconnections interfere to each other, you won't create a change, you won't create a value, period.
That lasts. They can create something, but nothing that's going to be sustained. Yes, that's the key here.
But not the final goal. And you're going to have a lot of problems if you don't map. Every time I start a project right now, I start mapping the ecosystem. Every time. It's impossible for me. It's impossible. I'm going to give you an example. It's a sad fact. Okay? But it's real. It happened here. I was trying to do a consulting, or actually started with a training in a company here in Portugal. They created a product. I can talk about the company, what the company is, but they have a product that is a credit card, okay? A credit card. And they share this credit card with all the clients they have. And all the products that they can buy, for example, for rental cars, refueling cars, whatever it is, they could pay with this card. And all the money that you charge in this card is put together your monthly bill in this company, okay? So you can put all the debts in the same account. They share the cards, millions of people around the world. You know what happened? The system developed inside the car didn't talk to the commercial department. What? Millions of euros. God. They just realized that at the end of the first month. Can you imagine that? This connection between the software development and the charging system. Can you imagine that? It's real.
Heads are going to roll, right? Some people are going to get into trouble for that.
So you see that. And after that, we discovered the problem there. When I realized that the problem is there, and then we created a department on the company, this organizational integration process. So every project now, they have saying who is involved on that, which departments must be involved on that, what's the relationship, the dependencies, and this is you have to
Priceless. It's priceless.
Yes, you see.
So
One thing else about
yes,
change.
I wanted before you go there, I wanted to know, so for people who are watching now, they're wondering, as you said when you go off, you said you start with mapping out your ecosystem. So for those who are probably just starting a change now, what are the steps that they can actually take away to go through that process? So kind of walk them through an example of, so they can actually have some action steps they can take away right away to take action and do that.
You're asking me?
Yes, Sam, just to help them with that. Let's give that golden nugget.
Okay, just put in the center, you can do it with sticky notes. I do it with sticky notes on the wall. Put the value or the change that you want to create in the center, period. Step 1, okay? This is what we want to do. And then who is involved, may be involved on this process. It's a brainstorm. It's a brainstorm for
yes.
It's a brainstorm. And it's okay, how these stakeholder can help us create this value or this change. And then you put lines, just draw lines, just draw a line. Okay, he's going to supply material, they're going to develop the software, they're going to train the sellers, they're going to hire people. So how they contribute for the goal, the change, the value. Okay, see that? That's it. And now they are committed with this and there is a reason for me for doing this. Because if I don't work, if I don't do my job here, this value that is important for us won't be real. This change will not be possible. So this is why you start by the why, just like you said by Cynic, why it's important for me to do this. And now you commit them. Got it? This is step number 2. Step number 3, what's the relationship between them? Okay, draw lines. Draw lines.
Oh yes, connect it.
Connect them. It's a net. It's a net. You see that?
Of course, yeah.
Connect them. And now they are not only committed with the value, but they are committed to the others.
Exactly.
Now they know that if they don't do their work, the other department, the other stakeholder won't be able to do their jobs. So it brings more responsibility.
And ownership. Ownership,
because you see they depend on me. Okay? So when you create this network, it's easier.
And I think that way, you've already done your stakeholder analysis automatically, right? You've been able to identify, it's like almost getting like multiple stuff done at the same time. You identify what the key stakeholders are. You can now even try and address the level of influence on your project, because you can then take, with this particular group, if something goes wrong, everything is going to totally go really bad. You go through that process all in one exercise. And that's pretty fantastic.
And there is something else. There are some stakeholders you see in the network. These stakeholders involved on this, on that. And someone that was a small stakeholder turns into something very important because many people depend on them. You see that? Depending on the amount of connection that you have, you get more important. You see? When you see that on the network, on the ecosystem, you see, oh my God. And then you start to do risk management. What if something happens with this guy? What if something is wrong happen here? You see, you can see the impact in many different things. Also, if something changes with this guy, who must be alerted about this?
Yes.
You can anticipate a lot of things that you can anticipate that to create the change, to create the value that you're planning to do.
Exactly. I think it is. And it's just a little exercise that should be done as, even before the full official kickoff. Because I did it as well with my clients, right? Before you say, now we're kicking off this project, you want to sit with the core team to say, what are we missing here? Let's map this overall value chain of what we're trying to do. Who is involved, how it's going to impact, and identifying these core people even helps you understand who you need to be involved with. right? And they will also help you identify maybe some other people you may not have even thought about. Just the same way you spoke about the organization that missed the commercial team, right?
Yeah.
If they had performed this exercise, they would have identified this particular group and the impact that they will be making on projects. So we've been dropping so many great, oh goodness. If you're a PM, if you're an executive or whatever, you need to go back and rewind and listen to all this. So much you need to be doing. And the good news is, even if you're halfway through your project and you feel that, I missed this exercise at the first, at the initial stage, you can still go back and do this.
Yes,
You don't need to be at the start of your project. You can go back and map out your value stream. That's what I call it. Because I say for change to actually stick, for change to be successful, for your project to be successful, you need to understand, as Helio said, the overall ecosystem of who is involved, how they impact, what the risks are, and pretty much understanding the level of influence as well that they could obviously have on your project. So goodness, this is just so good. Just keep your questions coming just for you to know that, oh my goodness, we've almost done an hour, Helio. How did time go?
20 minutes more, 20 minutes. You said.
They say time goes when you're having fun.
That's something that has me up, okay? The value ecosystem is not a value stream, okay? It's not a value stream because a stream is linear, okay?
Yes.
System is non-linear. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not value stream is like a factory. It's not a stream. It's an ecosystem. It's non-linear.
Yeah, I know, but within your actual value stream, you can have different ecosystem that feeds into it.
That's it.
Exactly. And so when you have your overall value stream, you see what I mean? The different ecosystem are what comes in place. And then you can understand where the gaps are, how you connect to the overall mission. Because at the end of the day, we need to connect back to what matters to the organization. So when you look at your own ecosystem, that's great, but it all has to connect back to the value stream of the organization.
That's it. And Fola, as project managers, as we are project managers. We were sometimes. There must be a role that is not a project manager, because the projects that what they are doing in their parts. Okay. There must be a role that's called ecosystem manager.
Okay. But at times I know, but in reality, Helio, we may not have those roles on our projects.
No, we don't.
And PMs, exactly. But PMs just need to understand that they will have to step into and wear that particular hat for the project. And at times you may have a coordinator or get someone else to help support you. But hopefully you have someone who can actually also help you manage change organizationally and have your sponsor be part of that. But, in an ideal world, right, you have someone who helps you manage that ecosystem. But in reality,
But this is why 6 years ago, when I created FLEKS Model, okay, and I created the VMO, the Value Management Office, okay, and from 3 years back here, people are talking about PMOs to VMOs, PMOs to VMOs, blah, 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 blah. It's just a rebranding, okay, period. It's just a rebrand. And when I created the FLEKS Model, we have a VMO that is not like this. It's not a change in the name. It's not a rebranding. It's not a rebranding. It's something completely different. Even because before people talking about PMOs to VMOs, okay, right, stop. Because in the FLEKS Model, we deal with the transformation side and the operations, okay, projects and operations. And the role of the VMO in the FLEKS Model is to integrate these ecosystems. You see, we have to integrate this view from outside the projects, from outside the process, is brought by the VMO, because they have a broad view of everything that is happening in the organization. So we let the people work in the projects, we let the people work in the process, but we organize the interconnections and the value ecosystem in the VMO, in the FLEKS Model. So it's completely different. I couldn't call it PMO because P is from projects. And I was not dealing only with projects. I was dealing with the whole organizations.
Exactly. And I have like a similar, not an argument, because I believe that you just putting the name project in front of it already just shows that it's limited. And so beyond a branding, I actually help people set up what I call the strategy realization office, because at the end of the day, you can call it value, you can call it anything, but we are there to ensure that the organizational goals and objectives are met. Period.
And when you have this view, this point of view, abroad of the thing, interconnecting operations and projects, okay, you see the real need organization. What's the priority right now? Because sometimes I have to take some resources from operations to put in projects, and so you have a broad view, a unique view.
Yes.
Because otherwise, if you don't have this broad view that's unique, oh, this is my resource. No, this is my resource. No, the resource belongs to the company.
Exactly. And we are there to ensure that we achieve the goals of the organization.
This is why I created my VMO. At this point of view, no, it's not your resource. It's our resource.
Yes.
Nobody has to do this, but this thing is more valuable for the company right now. So I'm sorry, I'm taking your resource. Period.
I know that's what it is. And I think it's critical because when we go back to everyone understanding the reason why we are doing this, the benefits for you, the benefits for me, that way it helps you reframe your thoughts around, no, this is kind of my own, resources, kind of my own team stuff. I cannot prioritize that because I have stuff that's more important. And that's where a lot of project professionals actually struggle because they're like competing with resources. And at the very top, the sponsors and the people up there are not even there to help them take it with the roadblocks. And then they are now struggling. They're like, my project is slipping. I've not been able to complete this particular task. All because of the fact that, I have to go convince another, operational manager to release, those subject matter experts. And so going back to the core of why we're doing what we're doing is to ensure that we have the right support. We are creating, I call it a compelling need for change, a compelling case for change, where everybody knows why we're doing it. We connect it back to the vision of the organization. We know exactly how we can get there. I know you're talking about my own change is model, right? I talk about compelling need for change. I talk about how you harness leadership and vision. We want the people at the top to come in and support what we're trying to do. Because if a PM just shows up and say, this is kind of what we're doing, and this is why, like, who really cares about it?
Nobody.
Nobody cares. So we want the people at the executive level coming in to say, we are doing this, if it's going to be a new rollout of a new IT system, these are the benefits of it. It's going to improve our productivity. We're going to be able to compete with our competitors. You're going to be more efficient by maybe creating your processes, but it has to be clear. And then we need to align, as you said, the structures and resources to exactly what we're trying to do. Mapping out what is in it for everyone creates a change. And I love the fact that you just spoke about the exercise around coming into a room and saying, how can we set the goal in the middle? Connect all the people involved, look at their influence, see that connected ecosystem. And then what I add to it, that connecting back to the overall value stream. My goodness, I can't believe what time it's gone. Okay.
Because some things, we're talking about one ecosystem, yeah? Because it's one initiative.
Yes.
But if you have someone in your organization and look into the all ecosystems that you have, it's something more complicated.
Yes.
Because there is this ecosystem and this ecosystem for two different initiatives. And so how do they connect to each other? You see, because the resources are the same most of the time. Okay. And sometimes you have dependencies between the ecosystems.
Yes. Exactly. I remember just like when we were doing like a pipeline project, you might have a pump station, you have a compressor station. Exactly. You have different elements that are different projects on their own, but at the end of the day, they all fit in, they all connect. But again, it's almost like a massive planning session, like when you're trying to do an overall plan, and then you can see the connectivities, and then you can understand even the risk, right? Because your risk might impact another person's.
This is the final step. When you have more than one ecosystems, and let's suppose that you have 10 possible initiatives, okay? 10 possible. So you're going to have 10 different ecosystems, isn't it? Okay?
Yes.
So, but I don't have money for everything. I don't have resources for everything. Which one I have to pick up? It's like a portfolio selection.
Yes.
So you have to understand the whole ecosystem and I say, which one that I have to choose to create more value with less risk. what are the components of my different ecosystems that are going to be together? They are going to create more value with less risks. Because if this is a good product that I want to create, this is a good initiative, but they compete a lot with resources from any other ecosystems, you're going to have a problem. Maybe this is not valuable. Sometimes you have to let it go later, not for now, because if you put this initiative inside your portfolio, inside your whole ecosystem, it will drain resources. It will increase more risks to the ecosystem. So you must have this broad view of independencies.
Yes.
Between the ecosystem. This is fantastic. This is fun. It's a great exercise to do in organizations. It's a great exercise.
For sure. And it's one that you can do at different stages and different phases. We can keep going, but we need... How can we apply this for personal development? You know what I mean? We have like 5 podcasts in one. There's so much to unpack because already 1 hour ago on the SPO podcast, this is on the business side. We always know that everything starts with us as leaders. We're talking about change. But for you to show up as a leader, you need to develop yourself on a personal level, on a professional level. And so my question to you, Helio, I know that there's so many elements of this mapping stuff. How can we show up and create sustainable change, but develop ourselves first?
This is the last step.
Okay.
Leadership.
Good.
Leadership. And this is you have risks, we have context, we have the finite process, and we have this ecosystem to create a change. But there is something that if you don't take care of the people in the ecosystem, if you don't lead them with purpose, forget about it. Forget about it. And leadership, in my point of view, leadership is something that is a connection between 3 elements. The leader, the people who are going to lead, the led people, and the context. The connection between these 3 elements, you have the leadership. Because depending on the leader, the characteristics of the leader, and depending on the people, and depending on the context, you must have to develop a different style of leadership.
Leadership, yes.
You see that? You have you with different contexts, with different people, you have to adopt a different leadership style.
That's right.
Maybe the same leader with the same people in different contexts, you have to do anything different. Maybe the same people, the same leader with the same context, but different people, you have to adapt. So the leaders driving this change, managing this ecosystem, if they don't care about people, the context, and don't adapt the process to lead them to the final goal, forget about it. Process don't do anything. Tools don't do anything. Stakeholder, nothing. People do it.
Yes.
People do it. Take care of the people who does things. Take care of them. And this is the role of the leader in this process.
That's right. And that's why you have to shift from what I never call it project management. Right? I say you have to develop what I call strategic project intelligence. It's about intelligence that kicks in where you're able to select when it's execution, when it's strategy, when it's about, leading and helping people get excited about what you're trying to do. Because at the end of the day, right, people are just, not everyone is motivated to do the work, or situations and things can actually change your approach to work. And you, as a leader, you have to show up, but embracing what flexibility and agility, knowing when to change the context. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the context will change. Everything will change. Remember this guy here? That's all. Everything is impermanent in the world. Everything is impermanent. There's no thing. So just like you said, there are some truth, only three truths in the world: taxes, VAT, and change.
Exactly. Every day, right? That's the only constant thing.
You're gonna pay taxes, and everything's going to change.
That's right. That's right. Oh my goodness.
Something to adapt to over.
We need to give an applause to that. Yes, thank you for the hot seat. I can't even believe I'm like, Helio, there's so much to unpack, but we need to get into questions as well. Because change is the only constant thing, but we want to be sure we tackle the question. A question is about mapping the ecosystem. It is an internal brainstorming, or it should have external parties, consultants, contractors, etc.?
Usually internal.
Okay, I think pretty much what it is, depending on the type of project, though, we need to put context.
It's a good thing. It's usually internal. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah.
But it's very important to sometimes to have someone external to criticize this. But what about this? Sometimes we are very addicted to something you can't see inside the organization. So maybe someone outside can see some things that you can't.
Yeah. So what we mean by external from the perspective of if you're going to be managing let's say digital transformation, you have your core team, but you also have external teams who are going to be delivering some elements of the project. So they become part of the actual delivery. So when I map as well, so although they're external to the organization, they have to be part of this actual process.
Yes.
You see what I mean?
If you realize that there is, for example, a partner or a supplier, they must be inside of it.
Exactly. So although they're external to the organization, but they're going to be part of the delivery, they should be part of this overall mapping process as well. So I hope we answered that particular question for you. So the mapping process, pretty much think about it. Everyone that you know will be significantly impacted by the outcome, the process of what you're trying to create, the change, should be part of that conversation as well. The more, the merrier. So I think that's like the one question. Yes, and we have your mystery question, Helio. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. So what has been the most difficult change you have had to deal with, and how did you manage the process?
Tough one. Fola, can I say something philosophical?
Okay.
Myself.
Okay.
There is a huge ecosystem around me. There's a huge ecosystem, everybody. Okay, it's the internal change. That's what you said. Let's turn the organization by myself. The internal change. You see, remember, the change is something is a door that you open from inside. I think every change starts by yourself, Fola. Everything starts by yourself. If you don't understand how you can change yourself, you will not be able to change anyone around you. So let's do something from yourself, and then okay, I can do this for myself, and then you start spreading this, and then you can change anything from your company, from your country, from the world, whatever. You see that? So start by yourself. I'm walking to the man in the mirror. Remember that?
Oh, we get into music now. No.
I see the change.
Yeah.
What the lyrics? I'm starting by the man in the mirror. I think that's
something like that. So you're looking at yourself, and because everything starts with you. Yes.
That's it. And the process is here. When you start looking at yourself, you can start looking at for everybody else around, because you see how hard it is.
Yes.
Hard it is to change something for truth, for real. It's very hard to make any change. And then you understand how difficult it is. It's difficult for you. Imagine change our whole organization.
That's right.
And if you don't, the most challenging one is to change the people. And this is why I have to lead them and show them that this change is important for them. It's not for the organization, not for you.
When you talk about what is in it for me, right? When you talk about the benefits, when people can see the benefits, right, it's easier for them to then embrace it, right?
They must see how they are going to improve.
Yes.
What's the change then going to be for my life, for my department, for my organization, for my city? So
yes,
dealing with people is the most challenging one.
I know. Oh my goodness. It's just, we can keep going on and on, but we have reached the top of the hour. We just want to say, Helio, God, it's been so much fun. I want to unpack all of it. And, I can just keep the applause, going continuously. We have actually spoken about mapping out the goals. We know now that how critical it is for us to see not just managing projects, but looking at it as what? An ecosystem. But again, connecting that back to what? The value chain, ensuring that we're doing exactly what the organization actually needs, right? There's no point doing anything if it doesn't create value for the organization. Stop managing projects. You heard that from Helio. He has his FLEKS model. He has so many tools that you can leverage as a professional, as a leader, as an organization to help push you forward towards the outcome that you are trying to achieve. It's not going to be easy, but we can make change easy for you with the right tools. Can you leave some final words with us, Helio? What exactly do you want people to remember after this particular episode, and how can they find you?
1 hour. Wow. Fast.
So tell us, what are the lasting stuff? What do you want people to remember after this, and how can they find and connect with you?
People to remember 2 things. Don't disregard risks. Don't disregard risks. They're very important. There's a lot of uncertainty everywhere in your life, in your company, your project, your process, whatever. Don't disregard risks. And take care of people.
Oh.
Have a broad view of people and how they are involved in this process. Don't disregard risks. Look around everyone involved and take care of people. That's it.
You just heard that people are the most important. They are pretty much your most invaluable assets to help you drive change, help you create the outcome that you want. Professor Helio, we want to say thank you so much for joining. We want to thank each and every one of you for being here today. We had pretty much different parts of the world represented, from the Middle East. We had Asia, we had Canada, we had the US. We want to say thank you, but I want to know who got the answer right. Helio, we want to find out. The question at the beginning of the show today was, someone said, the truth is that he's a father of 3. Okay. Someone said, okay, he's actually a mountain climber. That's actually true. Interesting. No one actually said if you were actually a pilot or anything. But can I try? Can I answer as well?
You can try anything.
Okay. I believe that he's also he flies airplanes as well, because he's a superhero. He's multifaceted. Is that correct?
All of them are correct.
All of them? Oh my goodness. So he got us there. So for those who are watching, you see,
there's a tip behind me. Look at my planes here. Look at my planes here.
That's right. So you got it right. He's everything all in one, right? He flies planes. He's a father. He climbs mountains, and he can climb mountains for your organization as well. This indeed has been amazing. Let us know the one takeaway. What I say is, if this was exciting, if this was great, tell a friend to tell a friend. This way we can keep elevating and creating not just projects. We can create the change and drive strategy that really organizations actually need. Let us make change actually stick, and let's become the ambassador and the catalyst to make that happen. And maybe you're thinking about sponsoring the show. You want to share your thoughts. You have a book, you're an author, or pretty much your organization wants us to know about this. We reach all across the globe. Connect with us at info@followallaby.com or sponsorship at splpodcast.com. Thank you so much for being here with us. I hope you enjoy this. So let us know in the comments one action you're going to be taking. Are you going to be mapping out your overall value ecosystem, or are you going to be having a conversation about me not just managing projects, but being the change catalyst that will create the outcome that we want? I'm always your host, Follow FLEKS, and we're going to be here same time next week. It's Valentine's Day on Saturday, but we're going to be rocking it here. We're going to be talking about how you can build impactful relationships. You have heard that it's about people. I've got a fantastic leader who's passionate about people and change. Don't miss it. It's going to be fun. I want to say thank you so much and have yourself a wonderful